Time now for night courts. Last November, an overwhelming number of residents in the Silicon Valley community of Mountain View voted to approve a ballot measure that would ban RV parking on the city's so-called narrow streets. Big chunk of the streets there. With the first no parking signs going up this month, the ACLU is taking the city to court, claiming the ban is unconstitutional and inhumane to the city's homeless population and those whose only housing option, they say, is an RV. City says it's going to defend the ordinance and that it's seeking to balance quality of life with public safety concerns. So let's bring in our legal eagles to debate. Attorneys Bob Bianchi and Sarah Goudner. Welcome, you guys.
Hi, Shannon.
Okay, Exhibit A. Here's what we know about this from the Mercury News. They say in November, 57% of Mountain View voters approved this ballot measure making RV parking illegal. And the city council followed up by calling for enforcement of the ban this summer. Now, under the ban, RVs and oversized vehicles cannot park on 444 of the city's 525 streets. That's obviously a lot of streets. Bob, that's what the voters said they wanted.
Yeah, Shannon, but the town ordinance also says that the town council does not have to go through with it, and they decided to go through with it. Look, when I first looked at this subject matter, I was saying to myself, of course the city can do this, but I recently just got done handling a case myself where you can't go after a protected class, and clearly people are socially and economically disadvantaged or the disabled who this disproportionately affects are a protected class. But here was interesting. It's what I did in my case, too. I went to the record of the city council and what they were saying. And what they were saying, it had nothing to do with traffic safety, which would be a legitimate government interest, but rather they were just trying to get them out of there. In fact, they wanted to pass a law originally that said you can't park your RV there from 2 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the morning when traffic was light or non-existent. So that's what we call under the law a pretext. It looks facially neutral. It looks like there's a legitimate reason for it, but really behind the scenes is trying to go after a protected class that are protected by law and the American Disabilities Act. So I think that the city's going to have a tough time with this lawsuit, Shannon.
Well, and that's part of what they complain about. Exhibit B is part of the complaint. It says the oversized vehicle ban is unconstitutional under federal and California law because it violates the inalienable rights of vulnerable individuals who've been forced to seek shelter in RVs in order to remain in the city and access medical care, schools, employment, and other resources available to them in their community. Sarah.
Well, the city is likely, again, going to argue here that this is for safety reasons, and it's also going to rely in its defense here on the initiatives that it's put in place, and that's public facilities for these individuals, low-income housing, which they're continuing to develop, and also 8 safe parking lots that they've put in place, including an amphitheater parking lot where these individuals can go and actually park there instead.
So why not that, Bob? I mean, this is what the city says in Exhibit C. They say due to their size, these oversized vehicles on a narrow roadway can encroach in the vehicle lane of traffic, which can increase the risk of collisions for motor vehicles and bikes, as well as makes it more difficult for emergency and critical service vehicles to navigate the street safely. And Sarah says they have mapped out other places for them to park.
Yeah, the facts, well, first of all, that rationale is perfectly acceptable under the law. From what I'm reading, however, there has been an increase in homelessness. There has not been accommodations. That's argued directly in their complaint. There is no place for them to go, but that doesn't really make a difference. The question is whether the law was designed for traffic safety or for some other pretextual reason. And the record of the city council is clear. They want to show them, quote unquote, tough love, and they were doing everything that they could to make sure that they just couldn't be on the street, not for safety reasons. They just didn't want them there. I understand the town's concern, but the fact of the matter is, when you speak and pass a law, you shouldn't have people saying we're really doing it for a different reason and then put lipstick on the pig and expect everybody to say, wow, how pretty that pig is.
All right, final word to you, Sarah.
Again, the city is going to rely on their argument that this was for public safety, especially given the application here to narrow roads and also bike lanes, and also rely on the initiatives that they've already put in place.
All right. A lot of these neighborhood fights over where you can park your RV, they happen, and this is on a larger scale, so we'll track it. Sarah and Bob, thank you both.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Shannon.
Shannon.
All right, finally tonight,